Encouraging economic news. That's fun to say. Check this out. Netflix plans an even bigger investment in New Mexico, $1 billion over a decade, with the promise of thousands of new jobs at the expanded Albuquerque studios at Mesa del Sol. The city is also a finalist for the U.S. Military Space Command, and a new training unit for the Air Force is moving to Kirtland. Tom, let's start with Netflix. Big news. What's your sense of the Netflix deal and how it positions us for the future?
Well, the Netflix deal, it was huge when it was announced, several years ago. It made waves throughout the United States in the industry, and then the head of the Film Commission and Economic Development was Alicia Keys. And now she's the Secretary of Economic Development, and there's a lot of momentum there in the film industry as a result. So it is a really fantastic move for New Mexico. I know the film industry gets knocked quite a bit as far as incentives go, but you know what? They bring the money. And
let me ask you real quick though. The state and city giving up a lot of money, closing funds, floating industrial revenue bonds. Is it worth the investment? I'm curious your take on that.
I would say so. And, by means of disclosure, we do some work in the economic development arena. So they are getting a lot of incentives through, and I don't know all the specifics of them, but consider this, that over the last 2 years, New Mexico has seen 30 different deals generate $1.2 billion worth of private investment. Now, how do you get beyond, I don't know what type of incentives there are, but I can tell you it's not more than $1 billion. Right. And that's a lot of real cash that's been coming into the state as a result of, economic development efforts here.
Good point there. Dave, let me go to what I mentioned, the U.S. Space Command. I'm particularly excited about this. I'm looking to talk with Sherman McCorkle here in the next week or so about this and the plans to kind of get Albuquerque seated here. When you think about Kirtland, White Sands, AFRL, Air Force Research Lab, it feels like we're the perfect fit. Does it? Am I misreading this?
No, absolutely. I think we're the perfect fit because what all of these things share in common is you have a workforce that needs to be versed in space and planes and Air Force technology. We have that. We have had that since the end of World War II. I think that it's a brilliant plan to bring these things in. These are good jobs. They're solid. Maybe we're a bit of a beltway bandit, as they call us, but these are great jobs. But it also, don't forget, New Mexico, we birthed the atom bomb. And, and I think we never shied away from what we were doing here. And, one of the things you can say, I don't know if it's been our congressional delegation, if it's been Democrats or Republicans, but we have had a very long and I think a very fruitful relationship with the federal government. I think that, one of the signs is that they trust New Mexico with their projects, for whatever reason, they send them here. We do a good job on them and it's great. It is good, stable jobs. It is good, stable funding. It's great. The only little thing that I would say about it is I hope that when the politicians and when the people who are bringing these projects look, they keep downtown in mind. Can we put something as an incentive for us to get the revenue bonds or whatever we have to do? Like, let's put some of your back office workers downtown because, boy, downtown looks like it's been hit by a neutron bomb. The people are gone and the buildings are all standing. And we need to really encourage some sort of workforce that gets put downtown if that could be part of the deal.
Sophie, Virgin Galactic, remember those guys? Interestingly, they're set to start doing commercial flights next year. But in addition, they won a NASA contract to test equipment and material on some of the flights. Has their ship come in? Is this now the moment?
Well, from your lips to God's ears, as they say, certainly that's been a long wait for New Mexico to see the benefits of that program. And, even when it came together, it was a bit of a, no pun intended, but maybe a bit of a moonshot. So I think that we are right to be cautious. Let's not break out the bubbly yet. But it's not a quick business, right? It's good to see some progress here.
That's right. Hey, Tom, interestingly, talking about this space stuff with Dave, I forgot to mention Orion. Orion Center campus planned near Kirtland Air Force Base. This is interesting. Could house 1,000 jobs when opened, expanded to as many as 2,500. The campus would include a 2 million square foot manufacturing center, 8-story office building and lab building, an extended stay hotel, and a whole lot of other developments as well. That's interesting. What's your sense of that one?
Oh yeah, yeah, and it takes up what used to be a portion of a runway of the old Albuquerque Sunport.
That's right.
So it's using space that's available. I think the Sunport Business Park approach is smart, and that type of development can really complement what's already there. Mm-hmm. And what is there includes Kirtland Air Force Base. You have the Air Force Research Laboratory. And those are within close proximity of where the Orion operation is being proposed. So mm-hmm. you have a lot of these key pieces that are really falling into place with respect to the Space Command. To Dave's point earlier, when he was talking about New Mexico being where the atom bomb was created, New Mexico has had also a number of other firsts, including the nicotine patch was developed through New Mexico Tech. You also had Microsoft had their very first days here before Bill Gates got called home by Dad. But so you have a lot of technology, a lot of firsts in the state. You also have more research that's available through the state universities than any other part in the Western United States. I mean, it's the type of investment that you would typically see that's only reserved for those research universities in the Northeast United States. So New Mexico has a lot of positive things that are going for it. But the things that need to change in order for it to keep moving forward, the education system, the workforce, those are the two Achilles heels right now for economic development.
Right. Sophie, when you think about it, it's interesting. You can see the trend. It's all about looking up in the sky. It's about space at this point. It's very interesting. But these are very good paying jobs. I mean, just as a counter, Amazon is building a fulfillment center on the west side. It's going to have 1,000 full-time employees. That's no small thing. It's not quite the mm-hmm. same. But my point is you have to have jobs available for everyone up and down the ladder, so to speak, from the very educated down to less so. Yeah, is that what gives a little bit of comfort here? Mm-hmm.
Well, I think that your point is right on. There was a period where it seemed like all we were really able to recruit here was call centers, and those, come and go. Mm-hmm. But when we see an investment in infrastructure, when we see an investment in workforce, all of that is helpful, and it helps to build political support for these ideas. Uh-huh. I mean, when you look at the film industry, the film and television industry here, the folks who started out saying, I don't necessarily have the training yet, but I want to get it and I want to get involved in that industry, are now seasoned professionals who are able to advocate for their industry in New Mexico. And that progression has been really important for that industry. Certainly, government workers have been able to advocate through, mm-hmm. through our governor and things like that. We see those things, but I think back to the number of times, Gene, you and I think Tom have talked about the importance of diversification. Mm-hmm. And we've always, we've said, yes, we need to diversify beyond oil and gas. We need to diversify beyond government work. And the state is doing that. Mm-hmm. And as those industries become entrenched, it's important that we not then neglect the industries. We want to keep the three-legged stool balanced, essentially. Mm-hmm. And so programs like this help to show that our community is still able to compete in these very important areas.
Dave, it's interesting. Deals go on, don't they? No matter what's going on in the world, global pandemics, yes. Money still wants somewhere to go. So,
The other thing that I think that we should do is sort of a bigger picture look at all of this. One of the people that I know who was tangentially involved in the Netflix thing said, one of the big appeals of bringing Netflix to New Mexico on such a large scale is that the people who work in the movie industry beyond the bottom line, or the bottom line workers, which means they don't have profit participation, they can afford to buy housing. They can afford to have a good house in New Mexico, which that is no small thing. I mean, I think that's one of the great things about Albuquerque, but we should expand that. We should include the rural areas too. When you look at where they are out there at Casa del Sol, it's a quick hop to get over to Estancia and down to Los Lunas. And we should make sure, we've got Facebook, we've got Google, we've got Netflix. All of those people need good housing, and Albuquerque and Bernalillo County should share and encourage people to go to the rural areas, because we cannot go on with this rural-urban divide.
Good point.
Gene,
please, Tom.
If I could just add in, there are two items that really provide that local control for economic development. One is LEDA, the other is JTIP. And both are funded through the legislature. And they're both so critical to really incentivizing and providing a reason for business to locate in New Mexico.
Yes.
And so, to Sophie's point, as far as really diversifying the economy, from away from oil and gas, you really need, that's one of the ways you can do that is with JTIP and LEDA funds, and providing the incentives to companies to be here, but not giving away the bank. Just saying, hey, we're glad that you're here. Here's how we can help with your workforce. And so those are some of the positive things that we're doing, I think, in New Mexico to really see that move away from oil and gas.
Momentum is an interesting thing, isn't it? It really is. That'll do it for The Line this week. We appreciate all you guys, all your panelists keeping abreast of the news this week. It's been fast moving. Be sure to follow us on YouTube to catch all the extra content we can't fit in the show. There's a lot of it.